Hey guys, what's up and welcome to a new Tesla update video. So today, as per usual, let's go over the market, let's go over Tesla, and let's figure out what has happened to close off this week. As usual, this is not financial advice. I am not a financial advisor. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit that like button. And of course, my membership section on YouTube is live now. If you're interested, the link is down below where you can subscribe, $2.99 a month. And I essentially share my intraday thoughts on Tesla. Let me go ahead and open it up here really quickly on Tesla as it moves through the day and whatnot. And this morning, especially, I was giving a lot of updates as Tesla was pretty much right here, going down below to the levels that we'll talk about, of course, but I was talking about how this is, I believe, a bear trap, as you can see right here, bear trap, right? And yeah, it ended up being a bear trap. So let's talk about it though. Is this, is it truly a bear trap? Is this, can the bulls celebrate just yet, or is there still something to be worried about? That's what we'll be talking about today. So Tesla will be closing down 1.2% on the day, which is, of course, compared to the market, pretty much directly in line with the market, which puts us at $442 rather dollars per. My cat's running around per share. So what does this mean, right? So look at the daily first, right? We did bounce pretty much at a pretty critical level, right? We did go below that 240 level, but I did talk about also in yesterday's video, but also to my members, right? I discussed over and over how I believe that, I would not be surprised if, especially after PPI data comes out, which it did come out this morning, we get a bear trap, right? We get a bear trap. We go below 240. We enter like the 238-ish area, trigger stop losses, trigger some panic sells, things like that, put some fear in, which I've seen happen so many times in the market now that I'm just kind of expecting it at this point, especially when something this obvious. Usually when something is too obvious, like this is such an obvious gap fill, right? You have people probably waiting to buy here, but now they missed out. You have people probably thinking like, okay, well, this is a major area. If it falls below here, that's bad, right? So you have these kind of people waiting, and the market just played both of them, right? People that were waiting for 235 to buy the gap fill never got the fill. People that were had stop losses just under 240, it triggered at 239, it triggered at 238, and they just sold their shares while the market or while Tesla recovered throughout the day, right? That happens extremely often, and it happened again. So that so far is a good sign that it was an absolute bear trap. But is it over? Can the bulls celebrate just yet? It's still on thin ice though. It's still on thin ice. Now, the first thing I'll mention is the fact that it is kind of forming a potential hammer candle here. The issue is the wick at the top is too long. I would have liked to see a bit of a stronger close. If Tesla was able to close above 243, for instance, that would have been damn good, because that would have completed this hammer candle. It would have looked a lot better, and it would have shown a lot more strength. So the fact that there was a bit of that sell-off towards the end of the day, like the last hour or so, not the worst thing in the world, but it definitely makes it a little bit more questionable. It makes it a little bit less certain of this potentially being a massive bounce, right? Also keep in mind, I did post this as well, but there was a post here talking about how there was essentially a lot of puts hitting the tape, right? A lot of out of the money 220 puts hitting the tape on Tesla, as you can see here. Take that into consideration. I take these with a grain of salt personally. I don't put too much weight into these, especially the premium is pretty high, but it's pretty high premium. Actually, we have 1.6 here, million for a premium as well. But take those with a grain of salt, in my opinion, right? So, I mean, that's bearish, obviously. But with that being said, again, it's still on thin ice. So again, another thing to look at is, of course, this overall descending wedge that we are in, which is usually a bullish pattern, right? You zigzag through it, it gets tighter, and then, of course, it bounces to the north side, usually, not always. And so far, it's looking good, right? It still bounced exactly more or less where it needed to, which is a great sign to see. And it did recover back above 240, which is great. However, the thing that's still a little concerning is the fact that the main resistance point is still a little bit higher, right? It's really like 243 is where it starts, which is why I wanted to close above 243, and it can go all the way as high as potentially even 244. So that 243 to 244 area is extremely crucial, which is why I would have liked to see it close above 243 at least to show some confidence there. But right now we're still technically closing below what could still be enough resistance to continue pushing us down. So just keep that in mind. This is still a very crucial area. This is why I also recommend drawing these for yourself. Like, put this on your own chart. Like, you shouldn't always have to wait for me to give confirmation. Put these on your own chart, right? If you see Tesla break out to the north side of this, fantastic. If you see it come back down once again and it starts breaking below these levels that we just had today, that's a bad sign. So just take those into account and take them for what it's worth, because that's extremely important to understand, right? And keep in mind, even if we do break out, we still have major moving averages above us, right? We still have the 21 EMA now coming closer to us. We still have the 50-day moving average still well above us. The RSI is still overall looking pretty bad. The thing that makes me extra suspicious right now, honestly, is the fact that QQQ, which is essentially the tech sector, is not looking great. It did break out to the south side of this overall ascending channel that it was in, which is not good. It kind of almost even retested it in the morning, as you can see, and then got rejected. It's below the 21 EMA. It's below the 50-day moving average. The 100-day moving average is well below us as well, sitting all the way at 345. So it's, you know, ways to go for that. And of course, if this thing starts to sell off, that will affect Tesla. So that's why I want to say, even though this is looking promising and it's looking like the bulls definitely put up a fight, I feel like they fumbled the ball at the very, very end, at the last stretch where it really, really mattered. And we're still a little bit up in the air, that I would personally be very careful about not getting too over greedy or over confident in one direction or the other. Same with the bears. I don't think the bears should be calling a victory just yet either off of this play here. It's still anyone's game. And I think it's important to look at this as more of a reactionary play than something that you want to predict. So keep that in mind, guys. That's kind of the way I look at it, right? We still, of course, have the volume by price, which we did enter that, you know, lower volume territory, but thankfully we recovered just ever so slightly. But again, don't, you know, get too cocky or too confident for either side just yet. This is still technically, in my opinion, in limbo land, and it's still anyone's game, bulls or bears alike. So that's kind of the main thing I'm looking at right now. Ladies and gentlemen, let me know what you think down below. Apologies for the delay on the video. I did have to do some IRL stuff quickly, but that is all done, and here I am recording this. So yeah, take it as you will. Overall, I think the bulls probably have a slight upper hand here. In all honesty, if I had to pick a side, I definitely think the bulls have an upper hand, but I wouldn't say it's a substantial upper hand, and in my opinion, until we see it break out from one of these blue lines essentially and out of the channel in one direction or the other, it's still anyone's game. But either way, thank you so much for watching. See you for the next one. Peace.